You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the Three Things to Know podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Haney, coming to you from Cleveland, courtesy of WKYC Studios, Channel 3 News. Very excited to have you here today with me, as always. This is a big week in Cleveland because Cleveland will be getting a lot of attention because there's a big event happening downtown at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I'm talking about the boxing fight between Jake, the problem child Paul, and Tyron, the chosen one, Woodley. It's coming here. It's on Sunday, August 29th at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in downtown Cleveland. And today, I'm very excited to say, we're talking with Jake Paul, the Westlake native, about all things boxing, how he ended up doing this, what he has to say for Tyron Woodley, and some surprises that he has in store at the fight that you might not have heard about yet. You might be hearing about them for the first time here. Got some interesting details from Jake about that. So let's talk about the matchup, shall we? That's happening Sunday, as I said, August 29th, kicking off at 8 p.m. at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. You can also catch it on Showtime pay-per-view. This is going to be a big showdown for Jake Paul. You know, he's undefeated. He's 3-0 right now in the boxing world. Tyron Woodley coming off as the former UFC welterweight champion. He's got some cred, so let's see how they stack up. First of all, the age thing, that's weighing in Jake Paul's favor. He's 24. Tyron Woodley's 26, so he's got 2 years on him. That's 2 more years of wear and tear, and a lot more wear and tear in the competitive fighting space too, by the way. Both of the fighters will weigh in at 190 pounds. Now, that is the weight that Jake Paul fought at when he took down Ben Askren. That was in April, and that was a whopping 2-minute long fight. So we'll see how long this one goes. That one was over pretty quick. Now, Woodley fought in the UFC at 170 pounds. So this will be going up in the weight class for Woodley. Let's talk about the height factor. Jake Paul stands at 6 feet 1 inches tall. Woodley at 5 feet 9 inches tall. So if you think of height as a benefit in this kind of a matchup, there's that weighing in Paul's favor, although there is something to be said for being maybe a little more nimble if you're on the smaller side of the stature. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now, Paul is listed with a 76-inch reach, and Woodley is listed with a 74-inch reach. 2 inches might not sound like a lot, but when you have a fist flying at your face, 2 inches can make a big difference there. Now, each of them will be wearing 10-ounce gloves. This is according to ESPN, and they'll be in a 20-by-20 ring. The fight is scheduled to go 8 rounds. We'll see what happens, but we are going to talk now with Jake Paul. We're going to bring him in. He's here to talk with us about what's going through his head, how he's preparing for this fight, what he thinks about always being the villain in these situations, and how that's going to be different because he's the hometown guy this time. He's here in Cleveland. So you have to expect that a lot of people are going to be rooting for him. So he's here now. Let's bring him in and get talking to him. Jake, thanks for joining me on the Three Things to Know podcast. Welcome.
100%. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and it's almost time for me to be in Cleveland. So I'm counting down the days.
Yeah, we are counting down the days too. Excited to have you here for that Tyron Woodley fight at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. You know, kind of happened his first foray into boxing after that trash talking, after you beat Ben Askren pretty quickly. Do you think that he showed up at that fight looking to try to get you in the ring?
I don't know if that was his intention. You know, I think he probably thought that Ben was actually going to do something in the ring because he was coaching him up that whole entire week and for parts of his training camp. So I don't think he really knew what was going to happen that night. And I was the one who was talking, you know, and saying things to him in the locker room before the fight. So he was being silent. He was being respectful. And I was like, bro, I'm about to knock your boy out in 1 round. Just because when I'm in fight mode and we're in the locker room, like I'm just having fun and cracking jokes and confident.
Sure, and that's what it's all about. And he definitely had a front row to, you know, maybe what's coming his way here pretty soon. WWE Hall of Famer JBL, he says that you're a great villain. Maybe that plays into that trash talking mentality, you know, kind of calling you the person that people love to hate and root against. What do you think about that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I love being the villain. You know, when I was a kid, my brother always like wanted to be Batman, and I always wanted to be the Joker. And so I always just resonated more with the villain side of things. And this is, I guess, where I ended up. But you know, all of that motivates me. You know, I love when people are doubting me or rooting against me, because I use that in my training. I use that in the fight. And I think that's part of the reason why I've excelled so much in this sport in such a short amount of time.
Well, it can definitely be a great source of motivation for sure. Now, being from Westlake, though, here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, you are the hometown favorite, fighting Woodley in Cleveland. How's that going to be different for you? What's that vibe going to be like?
This is honestly a dream come true. Like, it's still surreal. I don't even know if it's really hit me yet. I think once I walk into the stadium, I'll sort of realize how crazy this is. But to be able to perform in front of my hometown, my friends and family, I'm just like so happy and proud of what I've been able to do. And this is sort of the crescendo of my whole entire career. And I get to share that with the closest people to me in the city that I grew up. And I think this could be one of the best nights or moments of my life ever. So I'm ready. I'm excited.
That is a lot to look forward to. And also, some people are saying that Tyron Woodley might be your toughest competitor yet. Has that been a factor in your training? How have you been changing things up with that in mind?
Yeah, he definitely is. Look, he's a 5-time UFC champion. He has knockout power. He's been boxing for longer than I have. You know, he was winning championships with his fists while I was on Disney Channel doing the Mickey Mouse ears thing. So yeah, he's a tough guy. And I know that. And August 29th, that's why I have to be super sharp. I have to be more prepared than ever. And we've done every single thing in camp right leading up to this moment. And I'm prepared. And I just have to go in there. And the only person in that ring that can beat me is myself. So I'll be there 100%, and I'm going to get the job done.
And you're a busy guy for sure, you know, just trying to get a handle on you to have this conversation with your training schedule. What has your training regimen been like leading up to this fight?
Boxing's a 24/7 job. You know, not all sports are like that, but everything you do inside and outside the ring affects your performance. So, you know, sleep is a part of training. You have to get the proper sleep, the proper recovery, the ice baths, the diet. You know, I have to cut down weight for this. So everything has to be right, down to the, you know, jogging, sprinting, jumping rope, sparring, heavy bags, even watching footage of other fighters is something that we do in this camp. So yeah, like I'm constantly, basically when I'm not doing interviews or posting on social media, I'm doing something to better myself in this sport.
Well, I like the sleep aspect of it. I think that sounds good. Anything you can train with that. Hey, that sounds like my speed. But you are 3-0. You're undefeated. Is that adding any pressure to this as well?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, people definitely want that undefeated record to go. I think there's a lot of people in the boxing and MMA community who maybe want to see this circus come to an end. But that just motivates me again in training to work even harder. And when you don't have a loss, you don't know. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to lose. And if you quit once ever in life, it becomes a habit. And so for me, I think it's actually an advantage that I've never quit, never lost, never been in that place, because I don't know what it's like, because I won't let myself get there.
All right, let's talk about that tattoo bet. That's obviously a very unique thing. So whoever loses this fight, we're just gonna say the tattoo on the loser that says "I love Jake Paul." How are we gonna see that? Are we gonna have a tattoo artist like ringside coming in to get that going?
There's exactly that. You've got it figured out. So I have a tattoo artist, Tattoo Baby, who's one of the biggest tattoo artists in the world. She's actually coming down to the fight. She's going to be ringside. And after Tyron loses, I'm sending her into his locker room to make him get the tattoo. He shook on it, so he has to be a man of his word.
I saw that press conference. He asked the people, they said, yeah, I'm going to take the bet. So looking forward to seeing that ink at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse happen. Now, also at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, you have a young, undefeated Cleveland fighter on your undercard. Was that an important choice for you to make, to highlight a Cleveland fighter, or is that more of just kind of a local thing? How'd that happen?
Yeah, I wanted, the Cleveland up-and-comers to be a part of this. I wanted to put people from Cleveland on the map and, expose them to my audience. And that's exactly what we've done. And Cleveland has some amazing fighters, both on the MMA side and on the boxing side, and just giving Montana Love and Charles Conwell the opportunity to shine, and building up everyone from my hometown. That was really, really the goal with it.
Speaking of bringing things to your audience, love that you're highlighting the Cleveland fighters, bringing them to the audience. It's really something that you're doing with boxing in general, though. You're getting credited with bringing boxing to an entire new generation. Was that part of the plan? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's always been something that's been important to me. I have however many followers, like millions of followers, and they followed me for social media, for YouTube videos, for Disney, for music, all the things I was doing before. And now I'm showing them boxing and they're rooting for me. And I think they're becoming fans of boxing. I see it more and more, and bringing new young eyeballs to the sport is something I'm super passionate about. I want to grow this sport. I want it to become one of the number one, if not number two sport in the world. I think boxing has the potential in the next couple of years to overtake football, to overtake basketball, to overtake MMA. So I'm trying to spearhead that movement.
That would be interesting to see here in Cleveland. Definitely a football town. I'm going to ask you a question about that in a little bit, but I do want to ask you this focus on boxing. Why boxing, of all the things you could be doing? Because you could be doing literally anything right now, but why boxing?
It takes me back to my competitive roots as a kid. I wanted to be a professional athlete. And when I started growing on Vine and YouTube and growing my platforms there, I sort of got rid of the sports side of me. And so to be able to bring that back, it's really what I'm best at, being a competitor. And something inside of me just loves fighting. I think I was born to do this genuinely. And I fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with the art of it, the science of it. It's a very intricate sport that people don't even realize how intricate it is. And I love that chess match. I love getting better every single day and continuing to progress. And really just showing kids that anything is possible, because part of the reason I'm fighting now is because people are saying like, oh, he's not a real fighter, or he can't become a real fighter. So part of me is just doing it for fun, just to show those people that they're wrong.
Would you say that you have an overall end game with these boxing matches? Is there a bigger goal in sight?
I think the goal is become the biggest prize fighter in the world and make history, bring more kids, the youth, into the sport of boxing, because it's changed my life, and I think it can change everyone else's life. And maybe, who knows, I'll become a world champion along the way, just for fun.
Just for fun, become a world champion. I love it. Okay, let's take it back to football for a second. You are a Browns fan, right? We saw you fly your mom out to the Kansas City game.
Yep.
Okay.
I love the Browns.
Okay, so Myles Garrett, you may be familiar. He recently had an interview with Complex, and he had an interesting comment. He said once his football career is over, he's not looking to get into celebrity boxing, but he said if he did, he would beat the brakes off your brother, Logan Paul. Do you have anything to say to that?
Stick to football, my friend. I like Myles. I have nothing against him. He's an amazing player. But you saw what happened when Nate Robinson from the NBA tried to get into the ring. People don't realize it's a whole different sport. My brother sparred against all of the Gronkowski brothers, who are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and he took them all down in the same sparring session. People don't realize this is a sport where time and experience is really the only thing that gets you better. So long story short, my brother would knock him out, no question. But nothing against Myles.
Nothing against Myles. And it doesn't sound like we'll see that happen in the ring, though. But he said that, though, so we had to ask you about it. Now, let's talk about the Woodley fight again coming up August 29th. I believe there's a stage set up, right? Are you having performers at the fight?
We might. It might be a little secret, you know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything right now, but we have some cool surprises in store for the night.
Okay, well, we're definitely looking forward to see what happens there, whether we see any surprises. Speaking of performers, you know, I know you've invited a lot of our Cleveland natives here. MGK, LeBron James, some of our Olympians. Do you have any idea who we expect to see? Has anybody RSVP'd to you already that you can share?
A lot of people have RSVP'd. I still haven't heard anything from LeBron, unfortunately. But, you know, there's going to be some other big names in the building for sure. Roman Atwood, who's an Ohio legend. Who else I'm blanking on right now? Logan Paul, first and foremost, is going to be in the building. Dave Portnoy is going to be in the building with the Barstool Sportsbook. So there's going to be some awesome guests, and then a lot of the Olympians that I invited are coming out. So I'm super excited about that.
Well, it will definitely be a who's who of Cleveland for sure. Will your lady, Julia Rose, be there?
She will be there. She will be there front row. She gets really nervous for these fights. She gets more nervous than I am. So I think her and my mom are sitting next to each other, and they're going to be like holding each other and praying.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's definitely got to be nerve-wracking. Now, I got to ask you one personal question. She did add Paul to her last name on Instagram. Now, I know you guys have been talking about proposals and things. Are you going into the Tyron Woodley fight a married man, Jake Paul?
We are not married, but I see that coming for sure. I got her a nice promise ring, / pre-engagement ring. I plan on proposing, you know, sometime soon, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're in love. It's pretty dope.
Well, we're happy for you there. Maybe we see something else in the ring, another kind of ring in the ring. No pressure. I know you have a lot going on August 29th. Okay, so your dream fight, you've said, Conor McGregor. There's been confirmation that you two are talking, trying to work something out. Is he your next fight if you defeat Tyron Woodley?
I don't think he's the next fight. You know, I think, to be honest, anything could happen, right? After my brother fought Floyd Mayweather, I was like, anything is possible. So I guess we'll see. My team and we all like to take the fights one by one. After we see what happens, we go to the drawing board and we figure out who the next best opponent is.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Last question for you. This is something you've joked about on Instagram. I think people might like to see it. Will we ever see a Jake Paul versus Logan Paul fight in the ring?
Maybe. You know, it's always a back and forth conversation. Our parents don't want us to do it, but I think both of us always sort of have that itch of like, who's the actual better boxer? So maybe we'll have to scratch that itch at some point. But for now, I don't see it happening anytime in the near future. Or maybe, you know, a year from now, we'll be like, that'll never happen. But I'm not writing it off.
Okay, not ruling anything out. Anything you want to say to Tyron Woodley leading up to the fight on August 29th?
Hey, pal. Hope you're doing great, man. I hope you are enjoying these moments of being healthy and not unconscious. Really, really take your consciousness and be grateful for it.
Don't take it for granted. Okay, you can catch the fight here in Cleveland, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, Sunday, August 29th. Things are kicking off at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you can't be there, you can get it on Showtime pay-per-view, $60. Jake, thank you so much for talking to us on the 3 Things to Know podcast. We'll be rooting for you here at 3 News.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
You know, I've been watching this sort of dynamic play out between Jake Paul and his lady, Julia Rose. So I think it would be interesting if we do see a ring come out in that ring after the fight. Maybe it'll depend on him winning. I guess we will find out. I know at least one person in that crowd will be looking to see if that happens. And I think her initials right now are JR and maybe soon to be JRP. Okay, let's get to what you need to know in NEO. Obviously, that's going to be everything you need to know to watch this fight and everything that's happening at the fight. So there is another big fight on the card. It's being billed as a co-main event. The featherweight world champion Amanda Serrano is taking on super bantamweight world champion Yamaleth Mercado. So again, that's being billed as the co-main fight. Now, when we're looking at the undercard, Tommy Fury will be there. He has been calling for a fight with Jake Paul for several months, so he won't be fighting Jake Paul, obviously. Tyron Woodley will be doing that, but he will be on the same card. He is the brother of heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, and he will be facing 5-time Bellator veteran Anthony Taylor. So that'll be happening as well. Plus, Daniel Boudoir will face Joe Cusumano in a 10-round bout, and now we get to the Cleveland love here. Former world champion Ivan Baranchyk will take on Cleveland's Montana Love, and Cleveland's Charles Conwell will be taking on Mark DeLuca. So those are the people that you're going to see fighting at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse on Sunday, August 29th. Now, if you can't be there to watch it, you can get it on Showtime pay-per-view. It's $60. You'll be able to live stream the event from a ton of supported devices. You can watch it on your computer at showtime.com. You can watch it on your mobile phone or your tablet or your TV streaming devices if you've got Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, and Xbox One. You can also pre-order it through some providers. That includes Xfinity, Spectrum here in Northeast Ohio, Contour, Verizon Fios, Optimum, Vubiquity, DirecTV, Uverse TV, and Dish. So there are lots of options to watch this fight. Of course, we're going to have updates for you, so you can also follow along WKYC on Twitter. We will definitely be posting things as things are happening, for sure. And speaking of following accounts, that brings me to a good follow for this week. We want to give the love to those Cleveland fighters that Jake Paul has gone out of his way to highlight. So if you like boxing, you want to follow another local fighter, you can follow Montana 2 Pretty Love on Instagram. His Instagram account is Montana 2 Pretty Love. And what you'll get there from him, you'll see things about his training and, hype videos. And also, he is a business owner here in the Northeast Ohio area. He is the owner of the 2 Pretty Nail Bar. That's in North Randall. You can see some billboards of him and the staff around town. So you can also follow that there. You can get there from his account. And if you're interested in following Charles Conwell, who is very excited about this fight, if you've been taking a look at his social media feeds, his Instagram account is Charles Conwell on Instagram. It's just CharlesConwell. Conwell calls himself boxing's best kept secret. So depending on how that goes, might not be a secret for much longer, depending on how his fight goes on Sunday, August 29th. Again, happening right here in Cleveland at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's going to be a show for sure, no matter what happens. So we'll be interested in checking it out. That's it for this week's 3 Things to Know podcast. Thank you all for being here. I love hanging out with you. So thanks for being here. And if you like the show, leave a rating and a review. Subscribe if you're new to the show. Always love to bring new people into the family here. And shoot me a DM. I'd love to hear what you think about it, what you would like us to talk about next here on 3 Things to Know, or if you've got a hidden gem that you think should be featured in the Need to Know and NEO segment, or a good follow that you think people should be following on social media. Let me know about that. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Stephanie Haney. And I will see you back here next week, my friends.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.